Hello and welcome to Your Turn Board Games. I'm April and today we are journeying into the quirky little city of Machi Koro 2. Yes, this is the second one of the original version, but today we're going to be diving into the second one. We're going to talk about the setup, the rules, and show you how a round works. By the end of this video, you should feel pretty confident in playing Machi Koro 2. With that being said, let's get started. So as you can see here, I have already kind of pre-set up the game, but I wanted to go through each of the parts with you. As you can see, I've already divided up each of the cards. So you'll notice that there is establishment 1 through 6, establishment 7 through 12, and landmarks. What you're going to do when you first start is you are going to reveal the top 5 cards on each of the stacks. Do it one at a time because what will happen is sometimes another card of that particular kind will show up and then you'll have to stack it on top of each other. So let's check our cards to see if any of those happen. So first I have a business center, sushi bar, vineyard, wheat field, and bakery. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next row. I have a food warehouse, cornfield. Here's another example. So cornfield, I'm going to stack it on top of each other. So this doesn't count as part of my initial 5. I'm going to go to the next card. I have a mine. Here's another mine, so I'm going to stack it. Family restaurant and a hamburger stand. Okay, now I'm going to go to my landmarks and do the same thing. I have a loan office, moving company, forge, TV station, and a publisher. Okay, next I'm going to give each player 5 coins to start the game. Then you'll want to determine who is going to start the round. The instructions say there's no particular way that you should start, but choose the way that works best for you, whether it's doing rock, paper, scissors, whether it's rolling a dice, whatever works best for you and your group. Okay, so to start the game, you're going to start off by building 3 buildings with your 5 coins. It's just the way the game starts. And then after that, you're only allowed to build 1 building, or establishment in this case, per round. Or if you are lucky enough to be able to afford a landmark, then you would be able to afford a landmark. So it is important to understand what each of the cards do. As you notice on our board, there are many different colors. You'll notice that there's purple, red, blue, and green. And then at the bottom with the landmarks, there are some orange. So up on the screen, I'm going to show you what each of the cards do. You'll notice that on the establishment, there is a category icon. And these matter when you get more towards the landmarks and some of the other, the green cards, because they will have another symbol and you want to try to match those so that you can get combos, get more income per card. Okay, so like I was saying, we have our category card. We have our activation number, which I'll explain a little bit when we get to the dice part of the game. Has the name of the card, as I was reading out earlier. We have how much the card is going to cost. Our illustration for each of the cards is slightly different unless it's the same card. So our build cost, and then the effect. So each of the colors actually shows a different effect. You'll notice on the red cards it says on your opponent's turn. So meaning when you roll the dice, this happens when your opponent is actually rolling the dice. The blue ones say anyone's turn, so it doesn't matter if you're rolling, your partner, or your opponent is rolling, that card would take effect on that one. On the green cards, you'll notice it's your turn only, meaning you have to be the active player for this card to actually work. Okay, then we have our purple cards, your turn only again. And some of the landmarks are slightly different because they will say builder only. And then we'll get into some of the symbols on those cards in just a little bit. Now, I didn't mention also that when we're onto the landmarks have special symbols. Like right here looks like an infinity symbol, and this one has the exclamation points. And what the symbols mean, infinity means that it goes on the entire game. It's not just a one and done. Whereas the exclamation points on some of the cards, they just happen right then and there, and then that's it. So for example, the exclamation, take 1 coin from each player for each of the coffee symbols that you have. So in my case, if somebody else got that card, it would really hurt me because they're getting points based on my particular buildings. Okay, and the same thing happens with this one. It says take one coin from each opponent for the bread. If I had bread in my city, then I would also be penalized for that. But infinity means that it is constantly happening during the game until all 3 establishments are built. Okay, so our landmark cards, as I was saying, have different symbols at the bottom. They too are categorized the same way. You'll notice at the top of each one of these is the landmark symbol. And the landmark symbol is what you need in order to win the game. You have to have 3 landmarks to win the game, and then the game ends immediately. You'll notice also that each one has a different cost. There is, on this card, just 1 cost, so that's how much this particular card would cost. This one has 3 different costs. And what that means is for the first time you are buying a landmark, you would pay this first number. If it's your second landmark, you would pay the second number. And if it's your final landmark, then you are paying the third number. Okay? All right, so now we have talked about what gets us started in the game. So the play will go clockwise and everybody will have a turn to purchase an establishment, because obviously at the beginning of the game, there's no way you can buy a landmark with only 5 coins. Because on our current round, you'll notice the cheapest one is the 10. Okay, so then you would go and you would choose your card and say you would pay 1 to get this vineyard. You'd put it immediately in your stack. And then you would immediately flip over the next card and you would pay the bank, okay? So in my round, I'm gonna just purchase a couple of cards for our example. So I'll pay another 2 just so I get a wide variety of numbers. And I will get, I'm gonna pay for this one. As you notice here, I have cards number 2, 3, 9, and 10. And what that means is each time those dice are rolled, and depending on the ability at the bottom, will determine what you're able to do on your turn, if you are able to do anything. Okay? So on your turn, you are able to do 3 steps. You must first roll the dice. So you can choose to roll either 1 dice or 2 dice. And it depends also what numbers you have. So in my particular case, I may not want to roll this 9 or 10 because it says on my opponent's turn. So if I roll a 9 or a 10, I'm really giving more of an advantage to my opponents than I am to me. So at the start of the game, it might be advantageous for you to just roll 1 dice. Okay? On the second part of your turn, you are going to earn income. So after you roll the dice, look at the number on the card, okay? Which I was saying are the top numbers on each of the cards. And you want to kind of have a variety so that you are able to take advantage of some of these dice. And last, you come to the build phase, which is what we did when we first started the game. We built 3 establishments. Now, given you don't have to build the 3 at the start of the game, but it gives you a good variety at the beginning. So in this phase, if you don't have any income, say I did not have this particular coin, you are gifted 1 coin from the bank so that you are able to buy one card. You'll then pay the cost of the card, add it to your city, turn over the next card in the row just like we've done before. And like I said, you want to make sure that your cards are organized in a way that you are able to quickly look at them and make sure that you are getting full advantage of your cards. Now, if say I do have multiples of 1 card, like for example, let's just say I had this cornfield. I had more than 1 of them. And I purchased them, I put them in my stack. I want to make sure I stack them on top. Now, when you have multiples of a card, you actually get the whatever it says times 2. So this particular one says get 3 coins from the bank. So I would get that times 2. So I would actually get 3 plus 3. So I would get 6 coins from the bank. Okay, so on your turn, after you've rolled your dice, there comes the activation order. And the activation order is certain cards are able to play first. So as you're playing your turn, you'll notice the colors. So you have your red is the first activation order. So this is, it would say, take 2 coins from the active player on your opponent's turn, meaning you would take the coin. Then would come the primary industries, which are the blue and the green. Okay, so anyone's turn and your turn only. Last is the major establishments, which in this case would be the business center. Exchange one of your establishment for an opponent, one opponent owns. And last would be the orange buildings, the landmarks. So as I mentioned earlier, it says opponent's turn. This would come when you're having to pay your opponents, meaning you owe your opponents for a card, which is never a fun thing. But it does occur in this game, which makes it kind of challenging because you want to make sure you have a good variety of cards. But on the flip side, you might end up not having as much money because you're actually having to pay your opponent. So you have to be careful of that. If you don't have enough money in your turn, it's kind of null and void. You don't have to pay that person. But if you do have the money and it does come up, then you do have to pay the person. When you pay your opponents, this is another important rule, is you do it in a counterclockwise fashion. Meaning, if say I am the active player and we are going in a clockwise formation, the person to my right would be the person that I am actually going to pay first. I have to pay them in full before I can actually move to the next player. And then if I only have a few coins that I can pay them, I have to pay them as much as I can per that turn. And that is pretty much Machi Koro. Pretty simple. We truly enjoy this game. I honestly think it is better than the first one. I think they've made a lot of improvements to the cards. Very easy to learn. I think we learned it in maybe even 30 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you feel confident watching this, that you are ready to pick up Machi Koro and you're wanting to play it. Please like the video, subscribe, give us a comment on what you think about Machi Koro. If you've played it, what did you think? Do you prefer Machi Koro 1, Machi Koro 2? We want to know. And as always, friends, we thank you for watching. There's more games out there. Let's go play them. Now that you've finished watching this video, be sure to check out our other videos. Please also like the video, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the gaming fun. There's more games out there. Let's go play them.